me in VIP. All eyes on me. Yeah, where the come from? This is how your night should be. All eyes on me.
All eyes on the prize, money supersized. G5 super fly, should be supervised. Do or die, open up your eyes, head to the sky. Keep a mean bad mommy on the side. Make a tsunami, kamikaze on the mind. Spit flow, paparazzi flash shine. Get dough, champagne, Merlot. Cash and tango, in the VIP. Now she wanna touch her ankle. Get low, mueve mami como el dembow. All eyes on me, peeping through the window. Get mine, get yours, believe it or not. In the meantime, I'ma keep my eyes on the
All
top.
eyes on me, drinks on me, girls on me, on the dance floor. All eyes on me, who is he? Man, you better come get your girls out. All eyes on me, party like a rock star. You can find me in VIP. All eyes on me, yeah, where the girls are. This is how your night should be.
All eyes on me, indeed. What is going on, everybody? Ali Midawi here with a brand new episode of the ME Show. And boy, oh boy, I am so fired up today. Man, we've been working extremely hard. Shout out to all of you who have been showing us some love, subscribing, commenting, even the haters. I love you too. Today's episode is brought to you by I Am, aka Influencer Attraction Mastery. Influencer Attraction Mastery is our innovative learning management system designed with seamless blockchain integration. This platform supports you, the coach, the affiliates, the creator, and members of any network marketing or independent company to build, to expand your business while focusing on your personal and mindset growth. With I Am, you will be getting unparalleled educational experiences, whether you are looking to develop personally or professionally. I Am is your space to learn and thrive. Visit IamVelocity.com. And yes, your boy Ali's in the building with a brand new episode. And man, today, I think I'm about to piss some people off, and that's okay. And the reason we have to have certain conversation, I've had an amazing week with some weird circumstances. First and foremost, you know, my boy Richie Rich is in the building. What's up, Rich? How you doing today, my guy? Hoping that everything is well. He is behind the scene working extremely hard that you get in this production. What's up, my guy?
Hello, how's everybody doing?
Hey, see, we told you last week you're going to be seeing him more.
We're going to try to come out from behind the curtain.
Hey, let's go. So check this out. You know, first of all, I hope you had an amazing week that just passed. We snuck out a couple of times this week with Sebastian and Isabel. They were shocked. 3 days in a row, we snuck away and we went to Six Flags from 4 o'clock to about 6:30 every single day, and then came back home. And Sebastian was trying to push the button and do it again on Thursday and do it again on Friday. I'm like, nah, bro, you gotta relax. What did you guys do this week? Anything interesting? Anything fun?
We didn't do a whole lot. Just got some stuff done around the house, spent a little time with the family.
I
My
love
son
it.
and I went out and played golf on Sunday, and you know, just a little
Just
bit
casual. Just my son and I
just a
went out to
little-
play golf.
Yeah, just
It's
had a
good.
good time. You know, that's it. Just try to spend time with the family. That's what it's all about.
And that, my guy, I could definitely agree with you on. Let's, you know, one of the things last Memorial Day, we went to the Hurricane Harbor in the water park. And as I got something crazy going on with my eye. So we went to the water park, and I had a situation that I think we are to talk about today. You know, and I know, Rich, that today more than ever, there are a lot of, let's just call it circumstances and situations in society that not everybody can be totally in agreement on. And, you know, while it is 2024 and I have a very open, progressive mindset with some very conservative circumstances and situations, one of the things that I've experienced is I found myself in a situation on the Sunday before Memorial Day in Hurricane Harbor in the water, where, you know, in the lazy river, everybody usually just waiting for, you know, either you get a tube or, you know, you kind of get with your own tube that you rent or whatever. And Sebastian is like, I want to go to lazy river. So me, you know, Isabel, wifey, we're like, all right, cool, let's do this. And while you're waiting, there is a young woman, I'd say mid-20s, maybe 20s to 30s probably. And she's wearing a thongini. And for those of you, you know, who are not part of this world today, a thongini is a bikini, but a thong, right? And I mean, her butt is just like hanging out there. Like Sebastian is literally standing right there. And he kind of gave me this look like this is not normal. Like, he was like smirking a little bit, like not knowing, am I in trouble here? Like there's a naked butt of a grown up right in front of my face. So I pulled him back a little bit. I'm like, back up a little bit. I turned him to the other way. And it bothered me. And while before you crazy maniacs, oh, it's 2024, grow up, why you? It's Six Flags. I understand if I took him to a nudist beach or a strip club or, that will be like, what the heck is wrong with you, Ali, right? We're talking about Six Flags. And I look at my son and I look at my wife and I'm like, some people are just comfortable with pedophilia. And I don't think that went very, very well. Now, here's again, before y'all go crazy on me, let me just put my 2 cents in. I am a father. I've dealt with sexual abuse. I've dealt with child molestation. So it's a personal issue for me, right? And whether it's trauma or triggering or whatever the case may be, I think, again, I'm not picking on any gender identity or anything like that. Whatever you do is between you and your creator. But I believe, hetero or LGBTQ, if you are comfortable with a child being next to you while your privates are hanging out in front of that child and you're okay with that, to me, that is pedophilia. Now, you may agree with me, you may not agree with me, but I got really, really, really pissed off at that whole circumstance. I'll give you a second situation. I go to Jersey Strong, for working out. And listen, locker room, it is what it is, right? Men, they are comfortable talking. Now, let me give you some context, right? First and foremost, in Jersey Strong, there are the showers. Then there is a space outside the shower door where the private door is closed up. And you have a place where you can hang your bag. You have a place where you can put your towel, your water, your belongings. Like you can actually shower. You can, dry yourself up and get dressed with enough space, about 5 feet worth of space from the shower door to your private section that is completely covered. No one is to see you. My man is walking around like this is the ice age, no problems whatsoever, walking around like back and forth with his thing hanging out. And there are 13, 14, 15-year-old boys who are going in and out of the locker room. I think, again, if you're comfortable with underage men, boys, or girls, in whatever circumstance, and again, if this was a strip club, a party club, or whatever the case may be, shame on that parent who has put those children in that circumstance. And again, please, you numbnuts, whomever you're writing horrible comments, this has nothing to do with gender identity. This has to do with a grown man and a grown woman exposing themselves in an environment and an atmosphere where young men, young boys and young girls are just playing. Like if a naked man is in the playground.
We'll have to edit that. Sorry.
I got you. If a naked man shows up in the playground, you will say, or you will call the cops stating that there is an issue here, that there is someone exposing himself or herself in the Six Flags situation to kids. That's pedophilia. So how is it okay to justify when I take my children to the beach or to a public environment like Six Flags? Is there a sense of responsibility on these businesses? And I know they already have enough pressure on them that they have to cater to every gender identity and every single social pressure. I get all of that. But I think there is a fundamental issue if we as people cannot agree on the simple fact that a grown man and or a grown woman are to not expose their privates to a 6 and a 7-year-old or even a 13, 14 and a 15-year-old.
Well, yeah, I agree. It should be something to do with the company or the individuals or the entities of people that own these particular facilities. Six Flags in general is supposed to be a family-oriented park. It's supposed to be based around.
I mean, family. Is there such a thing
Yes.
anymore?
I don't know. I believe there is. I'm with my wife 30 years and married 27 years. I have a son and a daughter. I mean,
I'm speaking from a
But
general society
for general
standpoint.
society, I mean, family's not what it was when I was growing up. No, I don't see it.
So where do we as people, and this is the discussion that I want to have with everybody that is listening, where do we as people come to a realization that we are far on the outside of, forget being open-minded. I cannot like I don't have regular cable, regular TV, or regular anything in our home. I pay $12 a month per each YouTube login in any TV in our home. And this started a year and a half ago that I got YouTube Premium. Our daughter Isabel, is watching, whatever shows, and out of nowhere, commercial pops. And Isabel is usually in the corner doing her playing whatever, and I'm working, and all I hear is peaches or eggplants. And I mean, I just went like, "Whoop. What are they talking about?" And it was a commercial of an adult video game that was in the middle of a child's cartoon. So that immediately, I was like, what is this? Block, 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 block. And the more I'm blocking, YouTube says, and sign up for YouTube Premium and no ads. It's as if it was prone that way so I can pay for YouTube Premium. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But, X, the Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, they now approved porn on the timeline. Mm-hmm. If you scroll right now in X, porn is like, so I used to use X regularly to post my videos. And I mean, I'll go, I'm like, let me see the insights of this last video. And it is porn open. So again, I ask, where are we as a society, as a community? Where is listen, everybody has different core values.
Yeah, but where are the moral guidelines that should be driving society today?
Well,
I mean, seriously, the morality itself has gone out the window. People just, being open-minded is one thing, but to blatantly flaunt it in front of people and not have any respect for yourself or the people around you is not. We're so far out in left field right now. It's not even funny.
But so again, do we just say it is what it is? Because this what you're seeing right now, what is happening on social media, what is being exposed in front of all of us right now, these are the future people that are going to be in public offices, that are going to be teachers, that are going to be public servants. So again, that worries me, and I'll tell you why. Okay, and by the way, for the record, if you, Rich, were on this side with the camera saying what I'm saying right now, talking about society and how America used to be, you'll be immediately labeled bigot, racist, no emotions, no tolerance, no empathy, etc., etc., etc.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was born in a third world country. I was born in a predominantly Muslim country. I am blessed and happy that I am here in the United States with the faith that I have here in the United States, with the freedom that I have in the United States to be able to say what I'm saying right now in this camera. So I want to make it abundantly clear. This, for me, I can speak on it comfortably because for some reason, I don't know why. What's the difference between me and you? That if you talk on it, you're labeled a bigot. If I talk about it, Ali's a smart, open-minded person who can have an open conversation. It scares me what I used to see in America when I came in 2002 and what America has become today. And go ahead, please.
You were asking what can we do about it or what can be done? And I think you just hit on it. The fact that if I were to be doing and saying exactly what you're doing and conducting this whole interview the way you are, yes, I'd be labeled as a bigot, a racist, a slanderer, whatever you want to call it, against all different races, nationalities, creeds, ethnicities, sexual orientation, whatever it is. And I think that's gotten so rampant in this country, no matter if you're white or black or whatever anymore. Chinese, whoever, it's getting to the point where everybody is getting knocked down and told that, you can't
It's
speak
almost
like
like
that.
if
You can't speak like
it's
that.
an oppressed circumstance. Like if you do speak your mind openly, if you're a celebrity, you're canceled. If you are on the path of kind of bringing people together in an open conversation, you're oppressed, you're shut down, you're um, there's it used to be, again, and I'm speaking from different vantage points, right? The very first one, you can't have this conversation if you were right now in any other country, most countries in the Eastern world, the Arabic world specifically. I was born and raised in it. You couldn't have this conversation. You better hide and disappear and wear a wig and a stash and glasses in order to have this conversation. Otherwise, and again, the world has evolved and has grown, but you couldn't have this conversation. You couldn't critique. As a matter of fact, I know in Morocco, in my birth country, there's one law and one law only, that absolutely not, under no circumstance, you are not to critique or criticize or make fun of the governance, and that's specifically the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk about the prime ministers and but you cannot talk about the king and the way, like, that is an automatic jail.
Mm-hmm.
Automatic. In some cases, you can go for life.
So, but again, what I'm saying is, it's gotten to that point where everybody's just afraid to speak out and talk, except for that there's the 7% of the people that are out there that are vocal enough and step out and say things.
But that's bold, don't you think, though?
And they're the ones that are actually dictating what everybody can and can't say and do, if you think about it. And they're the first ones. They're the first ones that are going to come after me for having this conversation with you. And they're going to try to say, well, you're wrong, this, that, and they're going to try to bring everything they can against me. Okay. And I'm not, that's fine. All right. I speak my mind.
But it's not fine.
I speak my mind no matter what, to anybody, for anything. I'm open. I'm very blunt, as you know. Okay. And no, it's not fine, but it's fine. But more people need to do it and not be afraid. More people need to speak up. More people need to speak out.
Because the truth of the matter is, listen, again, please, for anybody that's watching, right, I can already see it in the comment. Understand for the 1,000th time, every single person, every single creed, every single type of people have their own struggle, have their own pain point. I'm not discounting any specific generation. Listen, I've dealt with racism. I've come in the United States in 2002, a year exactly after September 11th. My name is Ali. I'll let you imagine how that went. I was picked on all the time in high school. Oh, terrorist this. Are you bombing this? Are you doing? It was all terrorist jokes all the time, right? I've dealt with, the police biased. It wasn't the whole nation of the United States and all the cops. It was one a-hole cop who just like, I got hit rear-ended, one lane, and I was told that I switched lanes.
Yeah.
And the guy who hit rear-ended me came out, and I'm opening the window. I'm like, oh, I'm okay, sir. Thanks for he literally snatched me out of the window. I had a witness with me in the car, and I got the ticket for reckless driving. And then we went to court over and over and over and over. The guy who hit me was the brother-in-law of the judge. And I paid the ticket for reckless driving. Right. Okay. Now, that was a circumstance of one bad cop. David Alexander, shout out to him, man. He's an amazing, amazing police officer. My sister, all of her friends, has amazing, incredible detectives and police officers or friends. Puerto Ricans, black and white. I am not discounting the struggle that the African-American community is going through. I am not discounting the struggle that the Hispanic community is going through. I am not discounting the struggle, but here's one thing that will unify all of us, and it needs to be extremely loud and clear. We cannot discount the struggle of the American people. And you know what's real? Right now, the American people, 70% of the population is poor. Paycheck to paycheck. that has no racism on it. It does not matter. Now, some people are going to be like, well, my people are struggling more than their people, and their people is struggling. It doesn't matter. Do you know why? It's a country. And when one of us is hurt, we all are hurt. Imagine if we all operate on that circumstance. You know, all the countries around the world that we make fun of and say they're third world country this, third world country that, Africa's waking up. Africa's becoming independent by the day. You know why? So, little historical facts for some of you who may not know. Africa is not a country, first of all. It's a continent. For anybody who ever told me go back to Africa, I usually say, which country? And I'm usually told, I already told you Africa. So the African continent was colonized over the years, 175, and in some cases 150 years ago, by many of the European nations. And when the African countries wanted their own independence and people revolted enough, the European country would say something like this: all right, Rich, you want to get your home back? I'll give it to you. But all the gardening that you're doing right now, all that planting that you're doing in your backyard, that's going to come to me for the next 100 years if you want me to leave your house. And you see that well that has the water, you're going to give me all of that water for the next 100 years if you want me to give the independence. And you pay me tax on this land. But guess what? I'm leaving and the home is yours. Because of the desperation of saying that I am an independent country with my own decision, with my own economy, what do you say? Fine, I'll sign it. And you sign a treaty of giving away all of your resources for 100 to 150 years. That's why Africa, the wealthiest, richest continent in all natural resources, it has the poorest people in the world. Because it doesn't matter if you have a gold, land. It doesn't matter, because you're sending it all to Europe. That's why Europe. So now all those contracts, all those treaties have expired or are expiring. Morocco has increased their economy by 3,000% in the last 5 years. The last 5 years. Everything in Morocco is getting better. Morocco announced it, like, we're coming after you, Dubai. We're going to be the next Dubai. So the reason I'm saying this is the people in Morocco have come together. They're working together. They're collaborating together. And Morocco has 7 tribes. Like legitimately, they are very proud of my tribe against your tribe, kind of a thing, right? So United States is extremely complicated as a country. The United States is a tribal government. In other words, if you go right now to Elizabeth, New Jersey, 80% of the population is Colombian in there. When my wife and I got married in 2007, we lived our first year in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I would call the cab. And if you don't speak Spanish, they hang up on you. So they will answer you in Spanish. And if you say, hey, I need a cab, click. And I'll call back again. Necesito un taxi. ¿Dónde? And I'll give my address. ¿Pa dónde? And I'll give the address. That's the only way they will come. Because it is a community. Just like you hear there's a Jewish community, or there's an African-American town, or there's an Italian or a Greek town, or whatever the case may be. I think that's beautiful. The problem that I'm seeing is whether at one point the white race has had the negative impact at some point, or right now, Democrats or Republicans, there's these new tribals that are showing up, these new the tribalism of identity or whatever it may be, and then give it a microphone on social media, and it becomes negative. It becomes very, very loud. Is there racism in the world? Sure. You know where else there's racism? All over the world. All over the world. Do you know that slavery did not start by the white man? Do you know that the number one slave people before the 14 and 1300s were actually white people? Slavs. That's why European nations, they're called Slavs. The slavery system was an economic metric that all the countries in the world, matter of fact, in Morocco, if you watch, just YouTube search the Palace of Morocco and watch some older videos, there are always what they're called slaves. Now, you may think those are jobs. I grew up thinking, whenever I'm like, oh, he's a slave of the palace. And we were told, that's awesome. He works in the palace. No, he was a slave. As in generation after generation, the son of the daughter were sold, and they were a property of the palace. So slavery has not been created by the white man. It was always there. In other words, white, black. I mean, as a matter of fact, the Arab arrest that has happened in Libya and in Egypt about 6-7 years ago. Do you know, and you can YouTube search all of this stuff. Do you know that in Libya, when Libya fell as a state, in Syria, there are real videos selling and buying people in the 2000s. I didn't hear anybody saying those Arabic people are slaving people. I didn't hear anybody blaming the Arabic world. And the reason I'm sharing all this stuff, not to create controversy, but to bring a sense of awareness to the whole world. There is bigotry and hatred everywhere. Heck, I can show you right now a message from 7 days ago, a guy from Argentina who straight up in a comment on a Zoom that I done, he said, "You effing N-word." And I'm being PG-13. Literally in my phone right now. And I took a screenshot because I keep receipts. I'm going to find you. I keep those receipts, buddy. You think you can hide away from me? And the reason this is extremely important to understand is because I want to bring awareness to the world that stop categorizing one person, one people as bigots. See that right there?
No, it's
No. For you. I don't care if the camera doesn't catch it. That was from a week ago. A week ago. May 31st.
yeah, 10 days ago.
And I went and I clicked on his profile. I'm like, where's this hater from? Argentina. And he said, "You effing N-word" to me. So are Argentinians racist bigots? Are they Nazis? I mean, the history of Argentina after the war, a lot of the Nazi party ran away to Argentina. So maybe, right? But do we paint that whole country and say they're all racist? No. It's one guy, one dumbass. I am not going to say that all Argentinians are racist. Just like there is one bad cop back in 2005, 6, whatever it was. I never said that all cops are racist and bad because of that one guy. Just like there was one Peruvian guy who stole from me when I was working in a pizza shop. I'm not saying all Peruvian people are bad. Just like not even 6-7 months ago, we had a British guy who literally played me dirty. I'm not saying the Brits are bad. So for that person who is listening and looking for a way to write something negative, you a-hole. All right, I'm going to stop calling people names. You gotta bring yourself to reality that we are all one. And if you truly believe in the American dream, and for those who actually are optimistic, positive, hopeful, if you're negative, get out of here. Don't listen to me. But for those who are looking and identifying the idea that the United States always and forever has done more good for the world than bad, remove the United States from the history of the world. It will be a can of garbage. Oh, garbage can, right? Yeah. Me no English kicks in sometimes. Anything innovative, anything, and listen, I get it. Oh, yeah, but the wars, right? But also terrorism. Oh, no, but there was no mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction, right? But there was a guy by the name of Saddam Hussein who actually shot people from his government just because. Oh, no, but, the world is being oppressed and taken advantage of. Yeah, but also trillions of dollars have gone into the bank accounts of those very same governments. See?
Like in North Korea.
Dude, you can't just pick on one place.
I mean, there's just... there's going to be dictatorship, people that think they're better and can rule and be better than everybody no matter where you go.
I'll tell you this, and I'll tell you it loud and clear. Go to any of the countries that you think the place life is better. Go to Dubai. Go to Dubai and wear a rainbow shirt. Good luck. Your ass will be arrested in a minute. In a minute.
Yeah. people don't realize they go places and they, without prior knowledge of what they're walking into, get themselves into a lot of trouble. And then that comes back and reflects negatively on, their society, their culture, their people, because they're saying they're not educated, they don't understand. Well,
hopefully we're giving a little bit of education.
Education goes a long way.
And again, I feel like I have a sense of responsibility that I have this microphone, and every piece of content we put out gets a couple of thousand views on the reels and whatnot, which is great. But my hope, my inspiration, my aspirations is to spark a conversation that brings us together. Because what I do know, and I see this in business all the time. It doesn't matter what political identity you have. It doesn't matter what belief system that you have from a religious standpoint. Whenever we have seminars, whenever we have events, it's like everybody gets along. Everybody high fives. The best company ever, the best program ever. It's only when you put somebody on a negative environment in front of the news or some politically motivated system, right? Just to sell more ads, just to sell more ratings, that person immediately gets eaten into that. And we're going to come back after this quick commercial breaks. We're going to pay some bills. And then immediately after that, we're going to get into a little bit more of faith and its importance in the core values, regardless of what faith that is, just the idea of believing in a higher power. And how does that impact our moral compass and our core values? We'll be right back.
Welcome to I Am Velocity, the innovative learning management system designed with seamless blockchain integration. I Am Velocity supports coaches, affiliates, creators, and Velocity members in launching, building, and expanding their businesses or focusing on personal and mindset growth. With the backing of our project team and Founders Advisory Board, who bring over 300 years of combined experience in travel, business, blockchain, and smart contracts, Velocity Global offers an unparalleled educational experience. Whether you're looking to develop personally or professionally, I Am Velocity is your space to learn and thrive. And the best part is you can get started with as little as $50 one time in BNB. Explore our key features and LMS with unlimited courses in multiple languages, available to purchase via smart contract. Plus, our 2-tier affiliate model ensures that every student can get paid for their referrals, leveraging blockchain technology. I Am Velocity is the perfect choice for online entrepreneurs and anyone looking for a simple way to start an online business and get paid instantly. Get $34 per student and up to 12% matching checks for your mentees. What makes I Am Velocity even better? It's an a la carte course platform that lets you pick the courses that are right for you without forcing irrelevant content. Get back to the person who shared this video with you and get started today.
Welcome back. What's up, everybody? I appreciate you coming back with us after the break. Again, this episode is brought to you by I Am. Man, oh man, this is probably one of the most exciting product that we've put to date, and there's a reason for it. It has had three different appearances over the last 6 years, and I'm excited about the enhancements and the growth that it has. And shout out to Tanya Tanika, our co-founder and co-creator of I Am, and bringing it to life. Shout out to the man, the myth, the legend, Rich Tones, the historical figure in my life who's been around since 2008 and still kicking it. I am so grateful to have you in my life, brother, man. All right, so we were talking about a whole lot. I mean, we kind of went into the can of worms, if you will, and I want to dig a little bit more into some of the things that I think make a difference. Yesterday we went to Sebastian's family night in his school, and the whole concept was where the teachers and the superintendent asks the parents specific questions, and they kind of get their feedback. What motivates you and your kids? What inspires the kids to come? What makes the kids not want to come to school? What do the kids say at home about their teachers and that kind of stuff? And they get feedback, and I love that because it allowed you to be part of the solution. And my hope is that we can be part of the solution, and I think having a moral compass is an important piece. And what I mean by that, I'm not telling you have to be religious, man. Listen, you and your creator have a relationship. You and that higher power have a relationship. Whatever you call and refer to the higher power is between you and your creator. And the reason I'm saying this, listen, my mother is Muslim. My dad is Catholic. My stepmom is Muslim. My father says he is Muslim, but I've never seen him practice anything. My uncle is married. He's Muslim, but he's married to an Orthodox Christian. My other uncle was married to a Buddhist. And I'm not going to go on and on and on. We have every single faith and creed. So I will automatically be offending my family members if I, pick on one versus the other. But I think that every faith has forgivable and non-forgivable sins.
Absolutely.
But one thing that they all have in common is reaching out to the higher power, that fatherly figure as a moral guidance, right? Whether the 10 commandments or in Jewish law, it's 613 commandments, really, including, shrimp could be considered a sin for eating shrimp, according to the Old Testament. So everybody has their own way of identifying the moral compass. I mean, for crying out loud, I found out the other day that there is the Beyonce gospel now. That's crazy. Yeah, like there's an actual church in California, and they only use Beyonce songs as their gospel. So it's motivational, and then the song "I'm a Survivor." That's like it's nuts. But conversation for another day.
What do you, Justin Bieber?
God, honestly, the way things are nowadays, I mean, Diddy and all the stuff that's coming out, I'm not putting anything beyond anybody at this point, right? Where do you rank, or how do you operate in your household, like religion or faith or spirituality? Is that something that's discussed? Is that something that is enforced? How do you operate? And I'll tell you what we do.
Okay. Well, my family is mostly Roman Catholic, some Christianity, Presbyterian. Then you get on my wife's side, where my wife was actually brought up with no denomination, because her mother was Southern Baptist and her father was Jewish. Okay. And her grandmother's Roman Catholic, her grandparents. So they brought her up, letting her make her own decision. And when we started dating, she knew I was Roman Catholic, and I followed Catholic religion with my family. Went through CCD and everything else as a kid. And she actually embraced from the Roman Catholic religion because of my family and because we chose to be together. Now, I never forced it on her. I never forced it on my kids. I did ask that they go to school, and they do attempt and try. My son went through CCD in classes and wound up finishing all his sacraments and everything.
First communion. What was it like a non-negotiable thing? Like, hey, this is what we do. This is who we are. Or was it like?
No, I wanted them to. It wasn't non-negotiable. I mean, I wanted them to go through it to experience it. Yeah. I mean, I was a little adamant about it for a while.
Meaning, hey, you started something, you got to finish it.
Started it, you should really finish it, type deal. But I also don't want you to just quit because you disagreed with somebody. And that's what a lot of kids do. They quit because they disagree, or they didn't like something that was said to them or something that was done. And I didn't want my kids to just quit just to quit. I wanted them to understand that it's all right to disagree. It's all right to have your own opinions and voice your own opinions and speak up for yourself. So where my son finished everything because he wanted to, my daughter made it up to the point where all she had to do was her confirmation, which would have been this year. and she chose not to finish at this point. I said, that's
How,
fine.
how was so it was just a that's fine
I
concept.
said,
It was,
thing is she was going through a rough time, and the whole thing with COVID caused a lot of problem with kids with social anxiety and social problems and everything else. Especially with her age group.
how old is she now?
She's 15.
Got it.
And you're talking about this, and then the schools as well. It's not something that I pushed or forced on my kids, but I just wanted them not to quit just to quit. Was the thing, and I give them the option to practice religion in any way they see fit, whether it's Roman Catholic, whether it's Christianity, whether it's non-denomination, whether it's Buddhism, whether it's whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna love them for who they are, regardless. And I will back them in any decision they make. I always enforce that policy. I always told my kids, whatever you want to do, I will be there and I will help you. So you were saying with school, being able to speak out in school, same thing. I tell my kids, I said, you have a problem with someone, make sure you speak out. Tell your guidance counselor, tell your principal, make sure you're speaking out to somebody. So the problem is known, not just to ignore it.
I worry about that nowadays, to be honest with you, the whole idea of the school system and, seeing how now the school system is I see how teachers aren't allowed to do certain things, or there's again the activists
Yes.
within the students or the school system
Mm-hmm.
who are enforcing. I'll give you an example. Bradley Beach school. It's K to second grade. 2 weeks ago. And my son doesn't go there, obviously, thank God. But we got friends who have kids who go in there. They were told tomorrow, bring a rainbow shirt, and we're going to celebrate gay pride. 6-year-old. By the way, before you get mad at me, whomever you are, it's a 6-year-old that we're talking about. Hetero or LGBTQ plus. That child is not developed for anything other than the ABCs and the squares and the colors and the shapes and writing poems and drawing things for their parents. Why are you telling a 6-year-old, let's celebrate anything sexual, identity? I found out, you know who Megan Fox is, right? The actress that did.
Yes.
Yeah. Megan Fox has 3 transgender kids. You know that?
Mm-hmm.
3 boys who identify as girls. The oldest is 7 years old, or I think now is 9 years old. She had them since birth identify as girls while they were boys. I think that's criminal. Whether it was a guy, girl, boy, again, my issue is not about, like, if you are a grown man who identify as a woman or a grown woman who identify that I am not having an issue with that. My challenge, my problem is children. If you are not at the very least 14 years old, you are not to be exposed to any of this stuff. 13, maybe.
Well, even that exposure at that point should still be limited to what it is.
I mean, sex education. When did we get first exposure to sex education?
I think sophomore
in high school. So we were what, 13, 14?
14, 15 years.
So,
15, 16 years old.
So and I was born and raised in Morocco. So same exact thing in Morocco, same schools, like you don't get exposed to that education until you are developed enough and you still had a sense of like, oh my God, I can't believe we're talking about this, right?
Yes.
Now it is so normalized that, again, my challenge, my issue, my fear for that little child, for that little boy, or for my son or my daughter is that they're going to have a very hard time growing up in an environment that has no boundaries, growing up in an environment that has no moral compass, growing up in a wild environment where anything is normal, where all things are accepted, where there is no what is, disallowed, watch the MTV shows or any award show right now. Everybody is butt naked. Everybody is butt naked. Now, again, please, if you're a grown man or grown woman or whomever grown, whatever identity that you have, man, do you? Do you? Shame on me if I come to your space. I am not trying to enforce any heterosexual agenda. I have friends that I love from both sides, and I'll hug and give you a kiss in the cheek as a brother or as a sister and keep it at that. But my son is now limited to what is normal to a human development process from a society standpoint, because you want to be naked or express your sexuality in public in front of children. It goes back to the very same thing that I started with.
Absolutely.
To me, that is pedophilia. Whether you are hetero or LGBTQ, that is one-on-one pedophilia. And if anybody wants to argue about that point, I'm sorry to tell you, you're part of the problem. You are part of the problem. I don't want my son, my daughter, matter of fact, I don't think any child should be exposed to anything. Would you leave your children with a naked man or a naked woman, regardless to identify the sex identity?
Not when they're that young, no. I mean, there's certain things in this world you can't do until you reach a certain age.
If anybody, like, and I'm not even getting into the crazy, arguments about anything else, social issues, right? I'm just talking about pedophilia. That is the only thing I'm talking about. So when it comes back to school, teachers now cannot do certain things. Teachers cannot speak against certain things. I know that Manalapan High School and Freehold High School got in trouble a couple of years ago because a child approached a guidance counselor and said that I think I identify as a different gender. And according to the state of New Jersey, and I'm paraphrasing the law, you are not to inform the parents, and you can sponsor that child for changing their sex identity or gender identity. Dude, you take my son and you do something crazy like that, we got a problem.
Sorry, nobody has a right to take my child or my son or daughter.
So what happened is 2 staff members have informed the parents about what the child said. It got back to the state. The state is suing those 2 schools, and it's public knowledge. It has sued those schools. That's what I'm getting at. So whether, again, tonight's topic, I told you from the get, is going to piss some people off, but I don't care. Whether we're talking about the force, police officers, who 99% are decent people who literally are putting themselves in harm's way. And there's 1 or 2 bad guys in everything. Bro, go order food. What are the chances you go to 3 McDonald's in a row and one of them doesn't have a jerk in the cashier stand? Like, that's called humanity. Out of every 10, there's 1 dumbass. And I get it and I accept it, right? And if you're wondering who the dumbass that one was listening, it may be you. I can't believe I said that.
Anything's possible. You never know.
You never know.
That's the other thing. You never know who's listening. You never know who's watching. You never know
who's
around.
Okay.
And
yeah,
so talking about what boundaries and everything else. The old adage of think before you speak should really come into play with all this as well, because a lot of times people speak a lot.
I agree.
Speak out where they should.
And that goes for everybody.
Yes.
Listen, you realize, when was Memorial Day? 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
So I am talking 2 weeks later about Memorial Day. I thought about this since Memorial Day, and I'm like, just relax. Is it your emotion, or is it actually is there merit to have this conversation? And I spoke to certain friends and certain people within my sphere, and there's a lot of us who share the same exact core values and thought processes. At the same time, there is a bigot or there is a jerk somewhere out there who will use this conversation and say, you see, Ali said, therefore, and then they push the conversation to the opposite direction. I am not saying that. I think that what I'm hoping to do is to bring the conversation together. Do you watch the show, The Chosen?
I started.
Are you familiar with it?
I'm familiar with it. I started
All right.
watching it. I'm through season 1. That's about it.
So season 4 just started this
Yes.
Sunday, and then yesterday was episode 2 of season 4. Unbelievably amazing show. I love it. I don't care what faith you have. I highly recommend that you check it out, whether it's just for entertainment purposes, but it is amazing, amazing, amazing. There's so much lessons in it. And one of the things that I appreciate in that show is before every episode, the executive producer, Dallas Jenkins, he usually does his opening remarks, and he will say, hey, just before we get started with the show, just understand today's episode is going to be emotional, or it's going to be challenging, or he gives those little disclaimers. And then he would go again and talk about, what to expect. And hey, don't forget their shirts to buy and all that stuff. And then he comes back afterwards and he starts looking into the chat, because it streams everywhere live, YouTube and Instagram and the Chosen app and everywhere that you can get the show, right? And the people would challenge everything that is in that show. And that's good. And here's what I appreciate about what Dallas said, the executive producer. He said, see, whether you are arguing about the validity of the scene, for example, one of the scenes, Thomas, one of the disciples, was asking Rama to marry him, and her father didn't approve because he wasn't a follower of Jesus, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then there was a bunch of people saying this is a blasphemy, because in the history of Thomas, according to biblical scholars, he was already married when he started following Jesus. Yes, he was married to a woman whom father did not approve of Jesus, but they're saying he was already married with 4 kids. So there is a flaw in the issue. And then there's other scholars who are saying, no, he was engaged with this woman and he was supposed to get married. But then once the father found out about Jesus, he was like, absolutely not. I don't approve of this. So there's disparages in the disparity. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. In the story itself. But here's what Dallas says. He goes like, while you may argue about the historical and biblical facts, one thing that I know for a fact is happening right now. Everybody is talking about God's word. Everyone is looking in the Bible. Everyone is Googling the history of the disciples. Everyone is like, I did my job. I brought you closer to God's word. It's like, that's all I wanted to do. It's like, this is still a show. This is not it's not a mission. This is not a ministry. This is not a church. It's a show. While they have biblical scholars and pastors and Catholic fathers and priests, they do round tables and they all talk about what actually happened from their vantage point, from their perspective, from their belief system. And then they create the show based on the common agreements between all of, from Jews to Christians, and the agreements of what happened, Old Testament, New Testament, which is fascinating. So there's commonalities in the disagreements. That's what we're missing right now. This is why I'm bringing the show, The Chosen, into the conversation. It is a must for all of us to be okay with disagreeing with one another. It is okay for me and you to look at each other and say, I don't agree with you. Matter of fact, I so disagree with you. I am the opposite of where you are. If this was a one-way street, I already got a ticket because I'm going the opposite direction. And still say, all right, bro, love you. I'll see you tomorrow. That is what used to be when I came to the States in June 20th, 2002. What I see now, man, everybody's looking for any reason for a hashtag. Anybody's looking for any reason to be offended. Anybody's looking for any reason to say, no, you are wrong. I am going to go against you. I am going to block you. I am going to unfollow you. I am here to tell you, as a global citizen, every country has racism. I am here as a global citizen who lived in Morocco, who spent a lot of time in Europe, who spent a lot of time in South America, who spent a lot of time all over the world, in Africa and here in the United States. And it is the same human elements everywhere. The problem is the source that is feeding you your information, whether that be in school, whether that be in the outlets of news media, whether that be in your circle of friends and family, and the lack of education. As my man Rich said earlier, ignorance. Ignorance does not mean stupidity. Ignorance does not mean idiocy. Ignorance means lack of information. That's all that means. See, I am not an astronaut. I am ignorant when it comes to space and space technology. Does that make me dumb or stupid? No, it makes me ignorant. Can't even talk. So please, if and when there's any element in your mindset about a subject matter, instead of running right away to YouTube, to AI edited videos, make sure that you really evaluate your source of information. Make sure you evaluate the core values and the angle of the person that is feeding you your information. I don't care if you're left or right wing. They both belong to the same old bird. Because you know one thing that I do know about since the 70s, there's one thing that happened from one president after the other. One left a worse mess to another. One thing that I do know, man, I'm about to say a word that's gonna piss a lot of people off, and it's gonna create this. If this was that one moment that's gonna get this whole thing going and boom, kaboom right now, Rich, this is it. Donald Trump. All right, let me wait. Did I get everybody's attention? All right, what is all he gonna say? See, Donald Trump just went through this whole trial situation, this whole legal issue with the hush money and the using funds illegally or whatever it may be. I don't care what you think and what side of the system that you think is rigged or not. Here's what I do know. There was once upon a time a sit-in president. He was a Democrat, and he did two things. That Democratic president, who now is considered one of the best presidents in the history of the United States because of how he turned the economy around and he built 3% from deficit to 3% surplus in the economy. And he was great. Matter of fact, he was a great saxophone player. He was such a beautiful speaker. He would bite his lips like LL Cool J every time he speaks. And he had one of these, I think you know that I love this country. Now, that president goes by the name of Bill Clinton. And he did two things. Once, before he was president, and you can look it up, he actually paid a woman $900,000+ as a settlement because she accused him of sexual advancement. No one put him on any political stand. No one put him in any court. Now, the second time, which we all know, there's a young lady by the name of Monica Lewinsky, who, let's just say, did a job in the Oval Office with him, right? We'll figure out what that job is once upon a time. I think she was what was she? When somebody just works for
An intern.
An intern, right? Please use smarty pants. I know I said a job. I'm not saying what you think I'm saying. I was looking for the word intern. Oh my God. Oh my God. Do we have to edit that part? We have to edit that? No, we're going to leave it. We'll leave it.
Let's see what the comments are.
Let's see what my God. An intern. That's what I was looking for. Everybody will be like, okay. My point being, yes. After that, after he got caught and admitted, yes, I did have sexual relation with that woman, but it wasn't forced. It was consensual and blah, blah, blah. He was impeached, but it was just a dog and pony show because 2 weeks later he came back and he was president and everybody forgave him and he became the president that we know today. Though there's a lot of controversy around him and his wife, whether that is true or not, conspiracies is none of my business. The point being, here is a Democratic president in recent years who paid hush money, who got caught having sexual activities in the White House as a sitting president, and he was not put on any court, in front of any media, having to pay millions of dollars back, being silenced, as a political hack who's hurting the morals and making the country look bad. And then here's the other side, a Republican president who is having right now 70% of the country favoring him over any knucklehead. Whether you like Biden or not, I don't care. I don't care. Whether you voted for him, good. God bless. I hope you are okay with your decision. I hope you're happy with the circumstance that you are in right now. But these are same circumstances. There's only one differentiator: Republican, Democrat. Well, a little bit more variables, right? We live in a hashtag system, the Me Too system, which that turned out to be a biggest scam as well. So I tell you all of this to tell you, if you, Rich, were sitting in here with your Caucasian skin saying what I'm saying right now, oof, we'll probably go viral.
We probably would.
We probably would.
Well, you also got to understand there's a couple other reasons why Trump is hated besides that. For one, he was Democrat to begin with.
Yeah, well, he said it. He said he donated to both.
Yeah, he was a Democrat to begin with. He ran the Republican Party because he thought he could do something as a president.
No,
and the Democrats did not want him running.
Now, here's the thing.
Here's the other reason why they didn't want him running is because of the fact that no one would owe him any political. He wouldn't owe political favors to anybody because he funds his own campaign. Okay?
But that's not approved, though.
So
see, the reason why they have to raise money, in order to make it to the debates, in order to make it to the front runner of the political parties, this is why I wish he wasn't independent, to be quite honest with you. Because if you have to operate within campaign laws, you have to raise a certain threshold of money in order to be a front runner, just so you know.
I understand that. But
This is
he
why
was able to do that without the help of other people on his own.
Correct.
That's the reason why there's nobody in his pocket at that point.
Correct. I totally and wholeheartedly expect. Now, is Trump perfect? Nope. Am I in favor of Donald Trump? Man, the first couple of months, and you remember, I mean, we used to go to conventions and we saw Donald Trump with a company we both represented, ACN, and it was like the greatest thing ever. I mean, we would brag about, like, we got Trump on our side, right? So I looked up and I was proud of The Apprentice, when we had the video phones showing up, and it was amazing, right? But then again, Donald Trump, when he walked in, he's like, Mexicans are, that comment or whatever, and then Muslims are this and that. Like, it was certain things that offended my family and my friends that I was like, dude, you're an idiot. Shut up. Like, I'm being honest and open about it. But then I started realizing we all say dumb stuff all the time. And we all do bad things every now and then. Let he who has never sinned strike the first stone. However, I genuinely believe this wholeheartedly. It is, I can't believe I'm going to say this because I used to make fun of these comments. We live in a world where society right now is driven by what the media is put into focus on. Mm-hmm. So if the media is running 24/7, Trump hush money, 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 while Hunter Biden has done worse. While in the same breath that there's all of these different things going on, there was billions and billions of dollars of long-distance missiles that were approved and passed onto Ukraine, long-range missiles that can take off Russia, that can get Putin to retaliate and makes things 10 times worse from an economy standpoint, from a gas prices standpoint. That impacts us directly. That's tax money. There's a lot that goes on. And please, oh my God, I can't believe I went through this rabbit hole. This is new territory for me. I just think that we as people lost, if there's any identity crisis, like I identify as, I think we lost our moral compass. We lost our core values.
We lost all that when we allowed politicians to hold positions as a career versus being a term limit.
True.
Okay. Second, we started allowing people to stay in office for 30, 40, 50 years.
Still the case, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, look at Camille Harris or whatever. She's 48 years in, and I mean,
she's not that old,
or whoever it is, one of them.
You're talking about Nancy Pelosi.
Pelosi,
who's worth $170 million with an $80,000 a year salary.
Yeah. But I mean, and that's the problem. I mean, it's not, if we got to put a term limit on our president and our vice president, we should have to have a term limit on those in the House, in the Senate, in the judiciary system.
I believe it.
Everything. Because that's where the problem lies. Is now we're at a point where whether you're Democrat, Republican, or whatever else, they're pulling strings on all sides. Okay. So, yes, Democrats are pulling the strings right now on the media to focus on Trump so they can do what they want to do. All right. When Republicans, if they get into office, could be doing the same thing in reverse to retaliate against Democrats or whatever it is they want to do. All right. And that's the problem with the type of government we have. It's just we don't impose those particular stipulations, or those limits. It creates what we have now. All right. Our government, when it was put together, was supposed to be for the people, by the people. It wasn't ever meant for anybody to have it as a career. It was meant to be governed by the voice of the people. Okay. And it's no longer that case. The voice of the people are shut down because the government says so. So
don't let me even get started about Fauci.
So, all right. I mean, we can go down this rabbit hole a long ways, and I know I'm going to hear a lot of people.
I don't care.
They're going to say a lot of different things, but it's true. If we don't as a people, don't stand up to our government and start making our voice heard and stating that we want these term limits for these positions, we are only going to get in a worse position than we are now. The country is just going to continue to decline.
And that is my concern. And I say this, there are, especially, you just the space that I'm in, I'm exposed to a lot of people every single day. I see a lot of people. I hear a lot of conversation. And it's fascinating to me that the world that we live in right now is, in America specifically, I see it every single day. We are more isolated. We have more skepticism about each other, around each other. We have more fear mongering left and right in every single level. We have more assumption that there is bad than there is good. And we have more self-inflicted trauma and hatred to our own country.
Yes.
And the part that boggles my mind, bro, I'll tell you this part. This is I love history, by the way. I'm a history buff. I study history, right? 1948. The end of World War II, where Europe was flattened, with the war. And the African nations were still colonized and going through terrible circumstances. Asia was still brutally taken advantage of by the United Kingdom still, and the Commonwealth, and et cetera, et cetera. America could have just said, they all need us. We can just do what we do. And
for those of you who are wondering, that's just a bunch of people outside thinking they can do whatever they want.
America could have just minded its own business, put this huge wall around itself, and just enjoy the freedom, the wealth, the greatness, because America in the Second World War became a superpower. Actually, from the First World War, because weapons were being sold and Expo was all-time high. It was great, right? But what did America do? It went to Nazi Germany and was rebuilding everything that was bombed. It went to Italy. It went to France. It went to all over Europe and said, hey, we're going to support you and help you. It built the United Nations Council. It established Israel and Palestine as a two-state. Unfortunately, that's a complicated circumstance today. But it did a lot for the world. That was absolutely unprecedented from any historic empire, country, kingdom in the history of the world. No one has ever done that. And that is why I still sit here right in front of you today and I say ignorance is the biggest enemy. If people in this country knew that the United States is the reason why the world is the way it is today, the world's economy is the way it is today. This is why the United States economy impacts the world till this day. This is why the leader of the free world is the president of the United States, is because of 1948 and what was done. And then the gold standards obviously was switched to the Federal Reserve. That was another impact on the whole world. when Nixon changed that. That was the actual new world order. Changed everything. That's what devalued where we are financially today. So please, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to take a quick break. But before we do, get that hate out of your mind. Reach out to somebody instead of assuming that someone is in the hood because of their mindset. Maybe they just were in a bad circumstance growing up and they were dealt a bad hand. Learn about them. Instead of assuming that white person across the street is racist just because he or she supports Donald Trump, have a conversation with them. Instead of assuming that every cop is bad, one thing that I love to do, wherever we're walking anywhere and we see cops, I make Sebastian and Isabel go give them a high five. So they don't grow in fear of the police. They know, like, hey, these guys are your friends. They're here to protect you. Is there one bad guy in the middle somewhere? I'm sure there is. They'll find out that one time on their own. But stop hating. Stop spewing the negativity. I get people asking me all the time, if God was so righteous, why is there so many bad things? God is not a dictator. He gave you free will and allowed you to do as you please. So this mess, if there is a mess that you're seeing, it's in your own making. You put yourself in this circumstance. You are exaggerating and expanding all the negativities. This is the first time I'm openly speaking about this, but it is time. I don't care. I really don't care. Unfollow, block me, comment negative. I don't care. But what I will not do is sit here and tell you, yeah, this side is bad and this side is good. Everybody has good and bad. You allow your independent mind and your moral compass, and I hope a little bit of spirituality will go a long way to create the best version of yourself. We'll be right back.
So before we go, so for those of you that were, that are saying, why does God allow things happen? Just remember, does God give you, if you ask God to be courageous or brave, does he make you courageous or brave, or does he give you the ability to be courageous or brave?
The ability to be courageous and brave, yeah.
All right. If you ask God to be wealthy, does he automatically make you wealthy, or give you the knowledge and the ability to become wealthy?
And the struggle to appreciate that wealth when you make it.
If you're having family problems at home and you're asking God to help to solve all your family problems at home, is he solving them for you, or is he giving you the ability to hug that person? The tools and the ability,
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so quit blaming God. Blame yourself.
Hey, look at that. Motivational speaker moment by Rich Tomes, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Welcome to I Am Velocity, the innovative learning management system designed with seamless blockchain integration. I Am Velocity supports coaches, affiliates, creators, and Velocity members in launching, building, and expanding their businesses or focusing on personal and mindset growth. With the backing of our project team and Founders Advisory Board, who bring over 300 years of combined experience in travel, business, blockchain, and smart contracts, Velocity Global offers an unparalleled educational experience. Whether you're looking to develop personally or professionally, I Am Velocity is your space to learn and thrive. And the best part is you can get started with as little as $50 one time in BNB. Explore our key features and LMS with unlimited courses in multiple languages, available to purchase via smart contract. Plus, our two-tier affiliate model ensures that every student can get paid for their referrals, leveraging blockchain technology. I Am Velocity is the perfect choice for online entrepreneurs and anyone looking for a simple way to start an online business and get paid instantly. Get $34 per student and up to 12% matching checks for your mentees. What makes I Am Velocity even better? It's an a la carte course platform that lets you pick the courses that are right for you without forcing irrelevant content. Get back to the person who shared this video with you and get started today.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are back, and my goodness, so far, really good conversation to have today, and this is for the future. I was looking online, and this is from humanrightscareers.com. The top 10 issues in the country according to government surveys. And obviously, there's 329 million people living in the United States right now. So to sum it up to 10 issues, obviously, it's gonna make so many people feel like that's not it. That's not it. But I find it interesting. You look at student debt, and while a lot of people are arguing about student debt, I am here to argue about the validity of the educational system that we have. I'm not saying college is not important. I think college is extremely important because it teaches you the fundamental of discipline, of completing tasks, of practical arithmetics, English, whatever subject matter that you're gonna focus on and create an area of expertise. Definitely, I think there is validity to it. The issue that I have is the system itself is no longer relevant to the way things are today. And I know umpteen people who dropped out of college and have done extremely well for themselves. And again, I'm not against it. I just think, one question that came up yesterday in Sebastian's family day was, what is the one thing that children feel that they don't want to come to school for? And I answered openly, and I said Sebastian gets bored. He feels like it's like boredom, like the idea of I just gotta come here and just take notes over and over and over, and then I gotta come home and read these notes and memorize them so I can take a test about me remembering those notes, that when summertime comes I am not going to remember those notes. So, the delivery mechanism of the educational system, I think, is outdated, is not engaging, and it makes a lot of people not want to be part of it.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, right now with classrooms, a lot of them are block sessions where they have 4 periods throughout the day. It's like in the middle schools and the high schools. Not talking the elementary level. Elementary level, you're in one classroom unless you're in gym or art or something like that. When you were in high school, how many periods did you have?
In the United States or Morocco? Because remember, I had two.
Speaking either or.
So, so in Morocco, high school, you had your courses and you had your classes, but sometimes you had like a whole morning off. Sometimes every day was a different schedule.
Okay.
And you can come from 8 to 12, go home and lunch every single day, and then you go to nap, eat, nap, and then you come back 2 hours later from 2 to 6 if you have a full day of school. Most did not have a full day of school. I remember every year there was half days, 2 hours, where I don't have to come to school until 10 o'clock. Sometimes I can leave at 10 o'clock and not come back until 4 to 6 o'clock. So it was just enough time for me that I recharged my love for wanting to, like, literally sometimes we go home, you get your homework done and you're like, holy crap, like I got my homework done that I was late for the class of 4 o'clock. And you're just playing PlayStation and you're going like all energized. So it's a different mindset that kept me always want to go back to school. And if you missed class, you're not penalized. As long as you take your test and you pass it, good. Because the more you go to school, the more you go to class, the more you are educated. Absolutely. And 99% of the time it was practical. I know I'm kind of going on a tangent, but this is relevant to hit on. And the reason I'm talking about this school system is outdated. When I came to the United States, June 20th, 2002, and I already graduated high school at the age of 16, and I had to do high school all over again here in the United States, which I am so grateful for, because I wouldn't be able to speak the English that I'm speaking right now. I probably would be having like broken English. I wouldn't have been exposed to the culture, grow up in the culture, right? But I took Algebra 1, and
you wouldn't have met your wife either.
Correct. I wouldn't have met my wife. So I take Algebra 1, and I genuinely, like, the first day, you get the white paper with like all the, and I just do this and I'm like, nah, this gotta be a joke. Like, this isn't the math. And I'm looking left and right. And I genuinely, from top to bottom, every problem, didn't even grab the pencil or anything. I just did solved. Just looking, I solved every single issue. I'm like, this can't be the class. I'm like, is this a test or something? Like, is this? And I realized, like, whoa, the educational system here is so behind. Now, first year, man, I aced it. I was the fresh off the boat. I was excited and doing everything the right way. Then I come my second year and I became cocky and arrogant because I was Americanized. Now I'm speaking English. I got an earring on. I'm Mr. America now. And I will go to the board, like the teacher will be like, who can solve this problem? Whatever issue. And I get up and I would just look. And I just write 17, circle it. And I start walking my cocky walk back. Like, no, Mrs. Greenberg. I love you, Mrs. Greenberg. God willing, you're still doing okay. And she, no. You have to show us like line item by line item. How did you come to that number? Like even she didn't see what I saw. And I'm like, Ms. Greenberg, I guarantee you it's 17. She's like, no, we need to see how you got there. All right, fine. And I would roll in my eyes. I will go line by line. And it'll end up being that very same. So, and it boggled my mind always and every single time. Like, how is this possible that the educational system is so far behind? Because in my junior year, in my Algebra 2, I had it in 4th grade in Morocco. God's honest truth. 4th grade. So then I was in French class in my sophomore year because I started from sophomore. I'm in French class. Now I speak French fluently, as you know. I was playing dumb. I'm like, I'm about to ace this sucker. So I am like acting like I don't know what's going on. And then I'll never forget it. Forgot the name of the French teacher because I had her for like a month and a half because she figured me out. Somehow, some way, she figured me out. So she says something really fast, as if she said, like, hey, do me a favor, go in the back, grab those papers, get the scissors, and come back right here. But she said it so fast. And all I said, I'm like, oui, madame. Yes, ma'am. And I got up and I did exactly what she said. And she goes like, guidance office right now. I was like, what did I do wrong? She was like, you don't belong in this class. So she calls. She's like, hey, he is far too advanced. He does not belong here. You got to put him on some AP or something like that. Well, they put me on a quick test and I could teach the AP teacher on AP, right? Like we can't put him on French. So they put me in Latin. Now, Latin is the root language for English, French, Spanish. I already speak French. I already learned English. I am like, it was so natural to me and it was the best thing that's ever happened to me. Because for the first time, it was a language that I understood that was foreign to me completely. Because all I say, ego, habat, I'm like, okay, that means ego. That means I. That's ego. Okay, I have. And I aced Latin class. I mean, bro, the teacher loved me so much. Like, I've never had a student that was so engaged and excited about Latin. I mean, Latin, for crying out loud. Who wants to learn Latin? And I tell you all of this stuff to answer the question on, how was the school system, right? Me growing up, the school system was always practical. There was always an exercise. There were always breaks. There were always fun activities. The teacher was literally a friend of yours. There was no preset curriculum. The teacher had the freedom. This is how I grew up in Morocco. The teacher had the freedom to literally create a curriculum. On Friday, the teacher like, hey guys, what do you think next week? Should we do this or should we do this? And then the student like, oh, can we do this? Please, 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 please. So by default, you're looking forward to the class, Like that is something that you don't find here. The teacher is not empowered in the United States. It's obligated. The teacher is obligated to follow a curriculum that if you don't, you're going to get fired. If you don't, you're going to lose your livelihood. If you don't, we're going to embarrass you publicly because you're a public servant in the public school system. And everybody's going to know you just got fired and why. So it sucks, but the school system in here, broken to the bone.
But my point to asking you that is you were talking about your son being bored. Okay. As he gets older and into the systems with block scheduling the way it is versus what I had, it's totally different. Classes now are hour and a half long, whatever it is per schedule, per block, whatever.
Is that long? I thought it was like 50 minutes of class. No,
some of them are long. I mean,
well, there's some of them that are doubled, I guess. Yeah,
but you're also talking 4 periods. So you may have like literacy and math, and then you may have gym, and then maybe music.
I hated that I had gym right before my last class. You're like sweaty and running.
Now, when I was in, I had 8 periods. Okay. I didn't do most of my work for all.
I see what you're
literacy.
saying now. Yes,
right,
yeah,
so it
it
was
was
broken-
9 for me in high
So
school.
it was
Yeah,
broken up into 8 periods
Yeah.
at 35 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever it was. Per
yeah, yeah,
period.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. But you went from math to, say, science to social studies to English to literacy to gym.
He yells at me all the time for tapping on the table and the computer. Look at you. See, it's a different story when you're in the microphone. Go ahead.
It's not so much. It's not so much you're tapping. In a word,
It's moving the
You're
camera.
doing this.
Yes, I got you. Go ahead.
But and the thing is you were a little more engaged because you weren't expected to sit there for so long listening
Yeah.
to a lesson that droned on.
The
But there
attention
was
span
there
was
a-
refreshed.
Refreshed,
Yeah.
exactly. Where a lot of kids nowadays, I see it with my daughter especially, they are so put off by the school system.
Yeah.
They don't want to deal with the teachers. They don't want to deal with the classes because they feel they're just. It just feels like it's too long for them.
Which leads to boredom, and
It
it builds a sense of resentment for future
Now,
education.
the other thing that bothers me is when I was in school, you had social skills that were taught to you. So, like in middle school, you were taught home economics. So you were taught how to cook, how to sew, and those things. You were taught social skills, how to deal with people. You were taught. You had the options of taking shop classes to learn practical skills. Whether it was woodworking or mechanical drawing or metalworking or whatever. There was something for practicality for people to learn to build off of. And the nice thing about the shop classes was it was a great environment for those students that weren't interested or gifted to be in a sports team, to learn teamwork and to learn camaraderie and things like that. Whereas you may find a group of 10, 20 kids that love cars and love shop class and want to build an engine. Okay, so it gave them a way to work together and everything else, which you don't have nowadays. You still have the sports. Sports are big, and if sports programs were ever cut in school, I'd be shocked. But practical arts.
Let's not even begin talking about sports now, man.
Practical arts are suffering. Music classes are suffering.
Yeah.
Okay.
And your daughter's in music class, so
yes.
you would know. Yeah.
They're on the verge, in her school in Jackson, they could lose the program because they're not getting the funding. They're saying, well, we have to cut a program. Well, God forbid they should cut their salaries or they should cut the, take away from other programs to help, make sure everybody's equal.
Yeah.
And that's the other problem is that, they provide funding for different curriculums, but nothing's ever equal for every curriculum. So a football program could receive $1 million influx, whereas the music program may receive $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
How is that fair? Both programs are just as important to a child's development.
Yeah.
All right, because it teaches a lot of social and teamwork skills, disciplines.
So I ask again, what is the solution to that?
Well, the solution is it all has to be redone.
I think the involvement of the parents to
that too
brings a voice to the issue, to the matter. And we went yesterday. So the school system, I think, has 300 and something kids in Sebastian School in first and second grade. There were maybe 50 parents in there, and that's husband and wife, right? So it's like, okay, you're representing 25 kids out of 350.
So you're representing an eighth of the parental class,
which is a missed opportunity because you can't complain about what you didn't voice your opinion about or you didn't vote on. So it's interesting.
You didn't show up to learn about.
Yep.
Well, let's look at the other side of the coin. You're talking about the involvement with Morocco and how you were engaged and encouraged.
Dude, we looked forward to get out of the house and go to school.
Look at Japan.
Oh, that's a whole different world, man. The discipline in there.
Discipline in Japan.
The desire.
And the other thing that was, I don't know if it's still a requirement, but it was required to help further their discipline was at least the male part of the family were required to serve 2 years in the military after they got out of school.
How do you feel about that?
So you know what?
Do you think the United States should have the same system where there's a requirement of civil duty, military or else?
I don't know that it's right to force it on somebody. I mean, don't get me wrong. I am military. I spent 8.5 years
Well,
in the
I'm
army.
not saying you have to be
um,
active duty, but I'm just saying,
I think they all should be. There should be some sort of discipline.
just go
put in
into
place,
military school for 2
something,
years.
You know, learn discipline, learn the engagement, learn how to work with your fellow peers, learn the structure. You know, don't come into. You know, I think it would actually benefit the country right now, the way it is. Because you think about it, you got a kid that's just out of school or still in high school that's looking for a job, but they want to start at $25 an hour knowing nothing.
Yeah, I think I saw yesterday the
Whereas
TSA in New York they done a strike yesterday or 2 days ago, and they're demanding $29 an hour.
Yeah.
Minimum wage.
there was another, I forget who it was. Somebody else was
But
it was the auto workers union.
But here's I mean, listen, and it's interestingly enough, the number 2 issue in America is wage inequality. All right.
Yeah, because they'll raise the minimum wage, but they don't think of the people that have been working long term.
But check this out. Check this out. Right now, minimum wage is $15 an hour.
Next year.
Let's just say right now it's $15 an hour, right? Let's say you are an employer and you got 30 people working for you right now, $15 an hour, right? You have your margins, your cost of goods and services. Minimum wage is now a mandate $29 an hour. What are you going to do to your cost?
All my costs are going up.
Which means what? What do you have to do to your prices?
Everything's got to get raised.
And if everything gets raised, that gets passed on to who?
It gets passed on to the consumer. Now,
the consumer is suffering. Either they're going to skip on your business or they're going to complain or whatever the case may be, right? Everything is more. So is the issue, and this is the $1 million question, right? It comes back to, is the issue the employee that is not developing enough to start their own business or grow into another career or whatever the case may be? Is it lack of opportunity? Is it like we're from?
It comes back to lack of knowledge. I'm sorry.
Back to ignorance.
It still comes back to ignorance and lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
Because without knowledge, you're not going to start your own business. Okay. Most people won't in this country. Most people are not going to start their own business unless they come from a business-oriented family.
You think so?
Or
see, I didn't come from a business-oriented family.
Or they're coming from a place where they have no other choice. So
I think the biggest desire comes from the biggest struggles. To be quite honest,
that's what I'm saying. It does. The most successful things come from the biggest struggles.
Yeah.
Now, those families those children that are taking over businesses from families are the businesses you see closing because they feel they were handed something but were never taught anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you this.
Those are the ones that are raising their prices and their cost of goods, everything else, because they don't know any better.
My wife and I, we already talked about this. Our children will have to go and get a job when they're 16, 17, 18. And
my son did. I started him at 15.
I don't care how much money's in the bank. Sebastian, Isabel, you going to work. And the reason I want to do so is because they will not appreciate it if they don't work hard for it. That'll be one, right? Number 2, I want them hopefully to have the worst boss possible. I want them to just get treated like dirt. For that, like when you that one boss that gives you the itch of like, I will never let somebody else treat me like that. For me, it was my boss in Ruby Tuesday. Now, granted, I look back, he was hard on me like a big brother. I mean, he was so hard on me. But I do a lot of what I do today as a pure reflection on how he was with me. In other words, my eyes of details, my non-negotiable, like one thing that I learned from him, and I still do till this day, no notifications will be left open. Like if there is one notification in email, like read, delete, remove, like everything has to be clean. And till this day, you won't find an active note. Like my phone has 0 notifications on it. If it does clean. My emails are always deleted clean. There's some people who have like 3,000 emails unopened, unread. Nope, not this guy. Notifications, no matter how much, everything is open, everything is clean. And I love it that way, right? Now, I tell you all this stuff to say that yeah, there is a problem with wage inequality, but I don't think the root cause is the employer or the employee either. I think there is, again, going back to the way things are right now, need to be reevaluated. The idea of an employee employer relationship can still survive. The problem is there is not enough intrapreneurs. An intrapreneur is someone that is working within someone's job, business company, as a job, as a salaried employee, but they are empowered and given the freedom to be part of the concept, the growth, the decision making, right? They feel like I am not just a number in here. You're including me in, like, hey, Johnny, all right, man. So here's what we want to do. What do you think we should do? All right, cool. Do you think we should like expand? We should grow? Okay, cool. You think we should start with this market? You think we need like some people to help us out? Cool. Why don't you hire some people and make them your team and you run that show? And if you hit certain thresholds, you get a bonus. And maybe even no, we may even partner up with some other. Like you have to include your team in the vision, in the leadership, which again, entre or intrapreneur, it's the same common behavior. It's just the way of getting paid is a little different.
That'll work to a point in certain businesses, not all businesses.
Well, also that individual has to have a mindset
Yes,
of an
but
entrepreneur.
it's also not going to work. Like I said, it won't work in all businesses. It's not going to work like in the fast food industry real well. But
I agree with you on that. But
Okay.
I'll tell you this. I was a busboy.
Mhm.
And Pam Weisberg, love her to death. She was the general manager in TGI Fridays when I came to the United States. And she never, ever made me feel less than a rock star. She's the one who inspired me. She would always say, she always says, honey, you are amazing. I am so proud of how you're cleaning those dishes. I am so proud. Look how clean that table is. She will always speak life into me. Like, and she always would say, you're going to do so good in your life. I was just a busboy.
Yeah, but to uplift somebody is one thing. And that's
No, but wait, I'm getting to the second part of it, right? She asked me, like, when she had this mind of her own, which she got her fired, unfortunately, system.
Yeah.
I would be the lead, so she would create lead busser, meaning whomever is bussing that night, I was the closer. So I like, hey, you're getting that section, you're getting that section, you're getting that section, you're cleaning this, you're taking the trash, you're helping the dish, and then it will be a lead server. So when my English got better enough, I became a barback, and then I became a server, and then I became a lead shift, and then and little by little, I ended up going to culinary school because I was working there since high school. Then I come back to the restaurant as a culinary manager, a certified chef. Then I'm like, okay, I'm running this show like Pam used to run this show. So had it not been for her putting me in a position that I feel like I'm part of the growth of the restaurant, dude, I was a busboy, and she would say, guys, like we'll have a shift meeting before every shift, right? I'm sure anybody in a restaurant system. And she would include the busser in the corner, like, all right. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't know why I'm here, but all right. She's like, okay, we're going for $20,000 tonight. She's like, Ali, I need you on top of your game. Like the sooner that table is ready, the sooner we can fill it back up with. And I'm like, yeah, I'm part of this 20,000. And then when I see like, guys, we did it, we achieved $20,000 record night. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. I was a busboy.
Oh, I get it. And like I said, I've been in companies like that. Speaking of which, the last company I worked for, included included his people, managers, everybody else, and everything, doing the same thing and everything else. But ultimately, if he's not going to put to practice what he's preaching, it's not going to work. And that's where the problem lies. Is a lot of people will preach all this and they'll do this and include, but they're not following up.
Yeah.
And allowing, taking their own advice and continuing the trend. They're putting on a facade. And they're still doing what they want to do regardless.
Also, maybe that person hasn't been developed to lead.
Yeah, well, that's again coming back to the point of being ignorant and
I feel like we can agree on one thing tonight from every topic we covered. Ignorance is the absolute issue in every single area, and I'm glad that you see it that way. I genuinely hope that our listeners and viewers at least can agree on that one aspect. Racism is pure ignorance to someone's society, culture, belief system, and we react on ignorance, right? Like, it's like reacting to somebody because he or she is dressed or has big hoops in their ears, or like we just don't get it. We're ignorant to why are you doing this. But if we took the time and be like, yo, bro, like out of curiosity, the big ring you have in your ear, does that hurt? It did at first. Why'd you have it? And if I understand the culture behind it and the logic behind it, I might be like, not for me, but cool, good for you, bro. I get it now, right? And I get that a lot when I learn about something or somebody, right? It opens my eyes, Eh, and I think we're coming towards the end of the show, but leave it like this, right? I never understood in Christianity why is there 880 denominations. And every denomination, like, we're better, we're better, we're better, we're better, we're better, we're better. And then I go, my wife is Catholic, right? Was born and raised Catholic. And in the Catholic Church, there is no actual Bible, like full Bible that sits, in there for everybody to go through the Bible. There's a Catholic book that is approved with certain verses, right? And there are some changes. Right. So it was always like, hold on. If God's word is perfect, like, then why is everybody saying mine is better, mine is better, mine is better? But then I never understood that there are cultural motivations that took the moral compass and said, this part of the Bible, this God's word is what identifies with my moral compass to my people, to the way we operate and behave. Now, if I was an ignorant man, I'll be like, these guys, they don't even use the Bible. But if I understood the history of the Catholic Church and the Roman Church and Emperor Constantine at 325 and how he created this church based on an initial core belief system, but he fell in love with Christianity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I probably would just have the hatred that I have. It's like when people say Muslims are terrorists, I usually ask, well, what are you basing that fact on? Are you kidding me, bro? You remember 9/11? Remember this bombing, that bombing, that bombing? Yep. So then we should also call Catholics terrorists. What do you mean? Kidding me? Do you remember what happens in the Catholic Inquisitions? You know what that was, right? Sword. Mm-hmm. Tell me you believe in Christ as your Lord and Savior, or I'm chopping your head off. And then they will just go ahead and chop people's heads off. So are Catholics terrorists? Because you're kind of skipping that part of the same exact behavior, how about white supremacy at one point? How about black in Africa killing and selling other slaves from Africa to all Arabic nations? Like, every single nation has had a dark age. Stop being ignorant and putting the finger and blaming. Because I hate when he said it. My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, my work and work ethic. He would always say, when one finger points at you, there's three pointing right back at you.
I want to think about the biggest symbol that people are offended by.
The biggest symbol that people are offended by.
Think about it. There's one symbol out there that no matter what comes up,
dude. I mean,
it's a Nazi swastika.
Is it?
Okay.
Is it seriously? That's
right,
the actual.
But you understand, the swastikas come to be known as a symbol of, of oppression and hatred and everything else, when it was actually a symbol of prosperity originally.
Interesting.
So if you want to look at the history of the symbols that are used by people in the past.
But see, let's
look at how ignorant people become.
But hold on, let's take an extreme organization or people, Nazis, right? Mm-hmm. What did Germany do after Nazi Germany has failed? They changed their flag. They changed their national anthem. Mm-hmm. They said, hey, we identify what people before us have done. We got to clean it up. We got to change it. We got to fix it and have the ability to move on. I think it's time for everybody to do the same exact thing. Now, hey, ignorant person that is watching this right now, I'm not saying that Nazis are okay and they're fine. No, I get it. They've done horrible things, but so did your ancestors. No matter who you are, from what religion, creed, nationality, race, breed, you have bad in your ancestry as much as you have good. Same for me. I have bad as much as I have good. That's just the way we all are and have been and will continue to be. That's just what the flawed human does. But I believe, and I am hopeful and positive enough to tell you that we're going to be A-okay. Now, whether you agree with me or not, that's your prerogative. And I respect your opinion if you don't. Rich, I think we had an amazing conversation today. Shout out to everybody who brings hope, light, positivity. Remember, Influencer Attraction Media, aka IM, is your e-learning platform in multiple languages that gives you everything that you need in order to excel in any area, whether it's business or personal development. And make sure you hit us up. My name is Ali Midawi. I am your strategic partner, and this is the ME Show. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Welcome to I Am Velocity, the innovative learning management system designed with seamless blockchain integration. I Am Velocity supports coaches, affiliates, creators, and Velocity members in launching, building, and expanding their businesses or focusing on personal and mindset growth. With the backing of our project team and Founders Advisory Board, who bring over 300 years of combined experience in travel, business, blockchain, and smart contracts, Velocity Global offers an unparalleled educational experience. Whether you're looking to develop personally or professionally, I Am Velocity is your space to learn and thrive. And the best part is you can get started with as little as $50 one time in BNB. Explore our key features and LMS with unlimited courses in multiple languages, available to purchase via smart contract. Plus, our two-tier affiliate model ensures that every student can get paid for their referrals, leveraging blockchain technology. I Am Velocity is the perfect choice for online entrepreneurs and anyone looking for a simple way to start an online business and get paid instantly. Get $34 per student and up to 12% matching checks for your mentees. What makes I Am Velocity even better? It's an a la carte course platform that lets you pick the courses that are right for you without forcing irrelevant content. Get back to the person who shared this video with you and get started today.